Hey, what's up guys? Matt here with Fix Anything Save Money. Today we are going to be showing you how to install all of the pieces and also mount this WEN 6-inch bench grinder. So we're going to be walking you through this process step by step. You can see I already have it mounted. I already drilled the holes, figured out where I wanted it on my workbench. So as far as where you're going to mount it, that's something that you're going to have to kind of figure out based off of your workbench. But the spacing for the holes that you're going to drill is about 5 1/4 inches. So that would be the spacing that you drill your holes. That's the spacing between the two holes in here. But, you know, as far as the location on your bench, that's going to be determined based off of which workbench you have. You know, I have like metal bars under here that connect the top to the actual base, so I had to kind of avoid some of those things. I wanted it pushed more this way, but you know, this is as far up as I could mount it based off of, you know, my workbench. So we're going to get right into the video and we're going to show you how everything goes together. So we'll just get the light out of the way so we could work, and then we will just show you the pieces. So I have them laid out in the order I'm going to install them. So we have these bars, and then we have the eye shields, the spark deflectors. So we're just going to start up here, work our way down, and kind of show you the hardware for each step. So we'll move back over here. So like I said, the first thing we're going to do is install these bars, and they are going to go into these holes right here on each side, and we're going to mount them just like that. And we're going to be using the longest bolts that they provide, along with one of these locking washers and then just a normal washer. So all we're going to do, make sure it's facing like that. Let me move the camera up a little bit so you can see. Put it up like that, put our bolt through, and then we're going to tighten. And now there is some hardware, or there are some tools you're going to have to pick up for this, especially for the mounting. So you can see here, that first bolt that I just put in, that's a 10mm. So you'll need a 10mm socket and a ratchet. I also have the mounting hardware, which they do not include, but I will put a link on where you could pick up this mounting hardware. It's kind of unfortunate that they don't include the mounting hardware. Maybe they think, you know, everyone's situation is going to be a little bit different, but I'll put a link on where you can pick up bolts very similar to these, along with washers and nuts. So for these bolts, it's a 9/16 socket that we're going to be using. Then you're just going to need a screwdriver, a 9/16 wrench for these bolts, and then just your driver. And then to drill the holes in my worktop, I ended up using a 3/8 inch. This is just a 3/8 inch paddle bit, but you could use a 3/8 inch bit. But that's really dependent on the hardware that you're going to be using. Just make sure you use the correct drill bit. You know, you don't want to go too big. You definitely don't want to go too small. You're not going to get your bolt in through the bottom up through this bracket. So yeah, guys, that's a 3/8 inch. Okay. So we have this first arm on. We're just going to kind of tighten that down a little bit. And like I said, this is the 10mm. Oh, wrong way. And you could kind of leave this even a little bit loose because you're going to be putting the eye shield on each one. So we got this first arm on. Now we'll go ahead and put the second arm on, and just take note of the way, you know, this little riveted end right here is going to be facing out. Same with this, the riveted end is facing out this way. We're going to take that same bolt, or the same style bolt, start it in. Okay, so we have that bolt started. And then we could just go ahead and tighten this down a little bit. And like I said, you might just want to leave these a little bit loose for now so that you can adjust the eye shield. Okay. And then we're going to take the eye shield, and you can see the riveted end right here. So just take note of which one we're using. You know, they only go on one way. So we're going to be putting this one on here, this one on here, and then tightening them down with these little bolts that they provide. So we'll tighten that down all the way. And then same thing over on this side. We're just going to take it, and you can see these little rivets kind of fit into the rivets on this handle. And you'll know when they're in there, you know, they kind of fit in there snugly. Okay. So we have the eye shields installed, and then you could kind of just adjust it to where you want it. You know, I'm going to probably put them right about there so that they're even with each other. And then we'll go ahead and tighten them down the rest of the way. Okay, and you can still kind of move them even when they're tight. Okay, so now we have the eye shields in place. We can kind of lift those up for now. Now we're going to go ahead and put the spark deflectors on these right here. And to do that, we're going to be using this piece right here. And take note of the way that is, and then we're going to be using this little screw right here with another little locking washer and then a normal washer. So we're just going to put it on just like this, and we'll just get it started for now, and then we'll show you kind of the adjustment that we're going to make. And this is just a regular Phillips head screw for each one. Okay, so now that we got those started, we're going to just tighten them down, and we want to leave a very small gap between this plate and each wheel, just because we don't want it to rub, but we also we want it to catch the sparks that are going to fly out. So you want to just leave a little, I think it recommends a 1/16 inch gap. So that's a very small gap. And then you could even just kind of spin the wheel after you get them set and make sure that it's not going to be rubbing up against this plate. It's a little crooked right there. I'll just straighten it out, tighten it down the rest of the way. Like I said, you could just spin the wheel, make sure it's not rubbing. Tighten it down the rest of the way. Okay, so now we have the upper spark deflectors on, like that. Now we're going to go ahead and mount these brackets right here for the bottom spark deflectors. So for that, we're going to be using these two brackets right here. And you can see they're milled opposite of each other, so they only go on, each one is just for one side. So take note of the way that I put these on. This one is going to go on the left-hand side. And we're going to be using this tiny little bolt and then this little hand crank here. Okay. All we're going to do is orient this bracket like this, put our bolt through that slot, and then we're just going to put it through this slot like this. And then we're going to take our little wheel or whatever you want to call it, our dial, and then thread that in. And same thing with this, you want to adjust this very close to the wheel without touching it. So about a 1/16 off, 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch off. And then go ahead and just spin that. Make sure you don't hear any grinding. And I'll show you that one more time. So here's the orientation, like this. We just put the bolt through on this side, and then we just came through on the inside right here, like that. Put it through, and then just took this piece and just tighten it down. And then once you have it on, you could slide it to make it the perfect distance away from the wheel. Okay, so that's about a 1/16 off the wheel right now. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to take it oriented like that. We're going to take our other bolt and we're going to just kind of push it in like that. And then we're going to put it in on this side. We could put our wheel on now. Just kind of get it on there a little bit tight, or we could still maneuver it. And then we're just going to go a 1/16 off the wheel. Tighten that down more. And all this does is it deflects the sparks away from your face, away from your body. And there we go. Okay, so now all of our hardware is on. We kind of lower this down. And when you're working, you know, you're going to be adjusting this as you need it. You know, you could also adjust this to kind of face this down or however you need it. You know, when you're working and you're shooting sparks up, you'll be able to tell what exactly you need and the setting you need. So we'll just push this back up for now. Okay, so now that 5 1/4 distance I was telling you about here. So we already measured that out. We drilled the holes already. Like I said, this was already mounted. And yeah, that's about 5 1/4 from here to these holes. And we're gonna mount it. I don't know if you can see in here, but there's holes on this side and on this side. And this is a 3 1/2 inch bolt. Like I said, be sure to check the description. I will put links on where you can pick up everything you see, including the tools, this hardware. Those are affiliate links, and I do earn a commission. That doesn't actually cost you anything to click on the links and purchase through those links. So it's a great way to support the channel because it really doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out. It helps me, you know, create more content. So be sure to click on those links. Kind of makes your life a little easier. These are 3 1/2 inch. You could probably get away with 3-inch bolts, or, you know, if you have something in the garage that you want to use. The goal is just to, you want these bolts to fit snugly into these holes, and these bolts right here fit very, very snugly. And what we're going to do is feed these bolts up like that from underneath the table up, and then we're going to put, we already have a washer on that's going to be underneath the table, and then we're going to put another washer on along with our nut once we feed it up and through. So we'll kind of show you what that looks like. So all we're going to do is just feed that bolt up, and then we could kind of position this up and over. It's kind of hard to do on camera, but, and these bolts are almost like the identical size to the actual holes in the mounting bracket. so they don't push up through easily. You could probably get away with using a skinnier bolt, but I like to just use those bolts because, you know, it's not gonna move around at all. So then all we're gonna do is take our, and again, this might vary depending on what hardware you use, but I'm taking a 9/16 socket and just going from underneath to get these bolts up and through. Okay, so now that we have the bolts up a little bit on each side, see if I can get the camera to show that. So now that we have that bolt up, we could go ahead and just slip this washer into it. Just kind of, you might need to go from the back or something to get that on. Okay, and then we could go ahead and put the nut on. And like I said, depending on your bench, how thick your bench is, you could probably get away with using a smaller bolt. This is a 3.5 inch bolt, but you could probably get away with using a smaller bolt, maybe like a 3 inch. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing on this side. Okay, so we have the nuts and washers in place. We have our bolt underneath with a washer on the bottom. And then all we're gonna do is take the open end of this 9/16 wrench and just put it right here. Like that. And then we're just gonna finish tightening it down from underneath. Okay, so we have both of those tight, and you can see how solid that is. And then you kind of just adjust these however you want them. And then you could grab a light bulb and just, you know, put a light bulb in. These are max 40 watt bulbs. Okay. And then you just turn it on using this button right here. I don't have power going to it right now, but, and then just kind of a quick rundown on this. So this is the 36 grit sanding wheel, and you would use that mainly to take off like heavily corroded like rust, or like if you're really have something that you need to clean up that's like, you know, like a thick coating of something that you want to take off, you would use this. And then this wheel is the 60 grit. That would be for sharpening things such as, you know, chisels, lawnmower blades, you know, whatever. So that's kind of the difference. And when you wear these wheels out, they do make new wheels. I'll put links on those along with the tools. So just be sure to check the description on where you can pick up everything that you see in this video. Like I said, those are affiliate links, and I do earn a commission. And it doesn't cost you anything extra, but that money does go right back to the channel. So I could keep creating more content for you guys. So yeah, that pretty much goes over this WEN 6-inch bench grinder, how to install everything, how to mount it. This is model BG4276. So if you guys have any questions at all, be sure to reach out in the comments. You know, let me know if you have any questions, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if this video helped you out. Be sure to check out all my other tool and DIY videos. Yeah guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.